Demands of building AI data pipelines are putting pressure on storage architectures. They've got to meet varied and evolving workload requirements within the context of AI. Hi, I'm Tom Shields, and on today's Intelligence Report, we're going to talk about how a flexible, future-ready data infrastructure can make IT more effective as they support AI in the enterprise. And here with me today are Krish and Russell, and we're going to talk about the future of data storage in the AI era. So what does it mean for a data storage infrastructure to be AI ready in the next 12 months? How does that help IT ops to support the ramp of production AI and Gen AI applications in the enterprise, while still being flexible enough to accommodate the rapid pace of change that we're experiencing with AI? So what do you think, Krish?
Yeah, I think your observations are spot on, right? Like the AI workloads, especially if you're talking about the high performance training workloads, they do put some unique requirements on the underlying storage and data infrastructure.
Yeah.
They want really high performance, super pod level performance, and they want to get that performance using standard protocols, right? The protocols that their teams are familiar with, like PNFS, S3, they want it over standard Ethernet because that's what they have deployed in all of their existing infrastructure deployments, right? They also want to be able to scale storage, compute, and networking independently because they want to maximize the utilization across their flash speeds and network speeds. So it's actually really unique when they think about what they want from the underlying storage infra.
So give them something they can use with familiar protocols, allow them to scale up for big training workloads, but also scale down for inferencing.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
I was going to add, at the end of the day, AI is another workload. And just like the evolution of data centers over the last 30, 40 years, another workload running side by side makes things easier for IT ops. It shouldn't be its own thing. It doesn't need to be its own thing. It should be an extension of how they manage their data and how they manage infrastructure today.
That's actually a great point, Russell, because you cannot build data centers fast enough. Having done this all my life, I know it takes 18 months from the get-go, if you're lucky, to have a new data center up and running. So when you're running an AI workload, you are not creating new power. You're not creating new rack space. So you also want the underlying infrastructure to be energy efficient and to be dense so that you can actually run it within the existing data centers while the new AI-ready data centers come up.
And I don't think it's enough for it just to work. It has to work in the real world. And you're describing real world constraints that customers are under. Obviously, people understand cost. They understand things like governance, expanding existing skill sets to cover these new important workloads, but they can't, they've got a bunch of people that they work with today. And as you say, data centers are constrained as well. So, I think we're moving from, can we get AI working in a POC type environment to, I actually have to run this thing and someone's got to call me at 2 a.m. In the morning on a Saturday when it goes wrong because it's integrated with a key business process. If I'm in IT ops, I'm thinking really carefully about the choices I'm making.
Yeah, you actually bring up a really important thing, right? Like I'm no longer in a POC stage. I'm actually getting into production, which means I have to do all the things I have traditionally done to support all my workloads. So I need something that I can automate, which means I need familiarity with the APIs. The consistency of the APIs become really, really important. How easy and simple it is to manage my infrastructure, especially AI, given the hybrid format of AI workloads. You're constantly moving data between on-prem and cloud. So you need those, underlying data management toolkit to be not only familiar with IT, to be seamless. When they want to move the data, they can move the data. When they want to burst it to the cloud, they should be able to burst it to the cloud, right? It's actually not just enough to roll it out into production, but you need to think through what it takes to actually have the workload up and running.
Yeah, it seems like we talked a little bit about what's needed in a data storage infrastructure. It sounds more on-prem, but talk about the cloud side. Like the data is in the cloud, the tool chains are in the cloud as well. A lot of people are going to want to use the tool chains in the cloud. How do we build a data infrastructure that can accommodate those requirements.
Yeah, you want that infrastructure in the cloud to be as native or as close to native as what you have in the on-prem, because that's the only way for you to kind of defy the data gravity and kind of break the silos of your data actually moving between environments. You want an infrastructure that kind of treats everything seamlessly between what you have in the on-prem and what you have in the cloud, so that you can move it as you need it. And don't forget future proofing here, because today you might want to pick a toolkit or take advantage of the GPUs being available in one cloud. But we have seen many customers who actually want to be in multi-cloud. So it's not enough that your on-prem infra plays nice with a single hyperscaler, but you want on-prem infra that can actually play nice with multiple hyperscalers to take full advantage of, the toolkits and the GPUs.
That idea of a pragmatic approach to the utilization of cloud, I mean, this is what I think all organizations have gone through, that experience of being dogmatic and saying, I'm going to be all in on cloud hasn't worked great. But equally being dogmatic and saying, I'm going to be all on-prem hasn't worked great, right? It's knowing how to balance the use of on-prem and cloud. And AI is a super interesting space, because there are elements of AI that are so rapidly evolving that many companies don't want to be involved in the process of keeping those components up to date. They can rent them essentially as PaaS services from any of the big cloud providers. And then, they're thinking, look, if I want to extend my existing data plane to the cloud, I don't want to create a new one. I don't want to reset the way I operate, my data governance. I want to do this efficiently and effectively. How does that work? I mean, how can we help people take advantage of the cloud without fundamentally changing the way they manage data?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, you rightly pointed out, right? That is the infrastructure alignment that you need between the infrastructure you have in the on-prem and the infrastructure you have in the cloud. The more seamless it is, the better off you are. And then you rightly hit on the data plane. Like, you need that data movement to be, on demand, to be efficient, and to kind of be done in a way that's actually smart. You talk about, hey, if I go all in on cloud, the cloud costs are gonna balloon here. So you got to be careful with, hey, does the data plane give you the toolkit that lets you take the data on as you need it basis, while respecting data gravity, right? And then you move up one more layer, and then you say, hey, is my control plane gonna treat my assets across on-prem and cloud seamlessly or not? And so you got to kind of have a holistic view of your infrastructure, your data plane, and your control plane, because AI workloads will demand that you have that consistency across the two.
Absolutely. And so, all of this discussion, I think, is really important, and it shows kind of an insight into your design thinking, Krish. And so as we move forward, we're thinking about the IT ops guy and the hybrid nature of AI, and the fact that data is everywhere, and we want to make that easier. And I think a lot of the concepts that you discussed, and you too, Russell, kind of play to that. And people should watch this space to see what's coming from NetApp.
Absolutely.
Thanks. And I want to encourage folks, we have a couple more videos in this series. One, we're going to talk about what data engineering teams need and NetApp's point of view on how we can make their lives easier. And then we're going to move up the stack further and talk about the data science teams. We're even thinking about those guys, those key and rare resources that you need to make AI work in the enterprise. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.